Welcome to Culture Night TV. My name is Lydia.
And I'm Karen. And together we're delighted to welcome you to the wealth of talent here on Culture Night TV. We'll have music, art, interviews, demonstrations, and lots more over the next 2.5 hours.
Coming to you from the Chocolate Factory, this is Culture Night TV.
So now I'd like to welcome our first guest. In studio we have Alice Dunn, and she's from the East Wall History. Alice, you're very welcome to Culture Night TV.
Thanks so much for having us.
Well, tell us, what have you got in store for us today?
So we have, as the East Wall History Group, we have 2 events which will be aired on the East Wall History Group Facebook. One is called Docklands by the Docklanders, which will be at 4 p.m. It tells tales of the Docklands by a number of authors, Brendan Bean, James Joyce, of their tales of the Docklands and their experiences in the area. And our second one is O'Casey and the Estate Ploughing On, which is a follow-on to our RTE documentary, O'Casey and the Estate, which sees the cast come back together through a camera as we walk around the area and have different pieces from O'Casey's autobiographies. So it tells tales of the area through his eyes and his experiences.
I saw that documentary. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
I bet you're delighted to get back together virtually.
Yeah, it's a nice one, especially we didn't have our grand finale on the Abbey stage, so to be able to see everybody again and in an O'Casey setting was a really, really nice experience.
Oh, you'll get there.
Hopefully.
So what are the highlights then today?
Our highlights, I think both of these films aim to portray stories of the Docklands that people might not know. I think the Docklands a lot of the time can have a negative light, and these show the wonders of the docks through some of Ireland's greatest writers, how they saw the area, and gives really a history of our time. Docklands by the Docklanders ranges from tales of growing up in the area in the 1700s and all the way up to a piece by Roxanna Nicleam, who you might know, a well-known actress, and her experiences of growing up in the 1990s and early 2000s. So it's a really wide range and shows both the contrasts and the similarities. So it's a really interesting one.
And you've had a lot of change in East Wall, haven't you?
We have,
particularly over the last, say, 10 or 15 years.
Yeah, we've had, again, you would have seen in the O'Casey and the Estate documentary, the high-rise buildings we've got now that weren't always there. But yeah, it's been a lot of change, but a lot of positive change too, a lot of new faces in the area, which is really lovely, has widened our community and brought a lot of new people, which is a really lovely thing.
Well, you could see that from the documentary, that the old and the new really have gelled together.
Yeah.
I suppose having the theatre there really helped.
Definitely. The theatre is a completely intergenerational place. Any show you'll do, you'll have anybody and everybody there, especially the likes of Panto with our local drama group PEG. There'll be a night full of kids, a night full of older people. You'll really have a lovely mix, which is really good to see, and everybody kind of supports everybody and what they're doing, which is a lovely trait of the community.
Yeah, that was very obvious that you really have a good community spirit in East Wall.
I hope so, because I hope that rings true. I don't know if people always see that, so I think it was a good exposure to that side of it.
Yeah, nice to see it. So anything else you'd like to tell us about the history of East Wall?
I think, East Wall has a broader history than a lot of people realise, and I think the East Wall History Group over the past 8 years maybe that it's been running has done a good job of showing that. I think, like I said, people maybe thought of the Docklands as areas where there was boats and there was men working on them, and now there's high-rise building, there's big shiny offices, and kind of forget about everything in between, the generations of families who have lived there and their stories and their lives. So I think, as I said, these 2 films and the work of the history group in general shows those stories, shows the stories of the people, the lives of the people who weren't well known but lived everyday lives. I think O'Casey did a really good job of, his characters were real people. You know, he wrote his characters from what he saw around him, who he grew up around. And so I think he does a really good job, and we hope we are continuing to do a good job of telling those stories.
Well, it sounds like you're doing a great job already, Alice.
Thank you.
Any chance you might get to the Abbey stage?
We don't know yet. We're still hoping, but hard to make any plans at the minute, isn't it? But we hope so. We've met up a couple times and done some readings in the park, so we hope so.
Well, fingers crossed for you, Alice. You deserve
Thank
to get
you.
that
I
break.
hope so.
Good. Thanks for joining us on Culture Night TV.
Thanks so much again for having us.
And next up, we have a short video from Graphic Studio.
I'm Robert Russell. I'm studio director here at Graphic Studio, and I've been a member since 1988, but I have the role of director since about 13 years ago. I run the studio in general and make sure everything's up and running, make sure all the materials are there, help the artists make their work when they need assistance with techniques and so on. I'm also the master printer and work with visiting artists, so artists who come in and are not printmakers and need help to make editions. What we do here is we provide facilities for artists, and they come and join as members in the most part. And there are other ways that they will come in, like I said, working with a master printer and so on. So the artists will work and make their own prints here, and they vary depending on the technique they're using. For woodblock, for example, it would be very different to an etching or a lithograph, and it can take anything up to 2 to 3 weeks to make a print. It can be longer sometimes if it's very large. Some of the processes take a lot more time, like mezzotint, for example. But in general, a week to 2 weeks an artist would make a print, and then the printing of the edition. So once the print is made, they will print probably an edition of maybe up to 50 or so. Well, the studio was set up in 1960, and at the time there was no printmaking facilities in Ireland, and it wasn't even taught in the colleges. So a group of artists got together and they set up the studio in Upper Mount Street initially, and it was there for a good many years. And it was supported by the Arts Council really from the onset, and they've supported us ever since. And about 13 years ago we moved to this building. We were able to sell the lease in Green Street, and we bought this building. We are now 60 years going, so this is our 60th anniversary. Here we have a mix of both men and women, but predominantly women really at the moment. That has changed. When I joined, I think there were probably more men. That was back in 1988, but that has changed somewhat. But I suppose we're not that aware of it. We just, all work together here. It's one of the great things about working in the studio. When you start, we learn from each other. We're working in a group studio, unlike a painter who would be on his or her own in their studio. We are working together, shoulder to shoulder. We're inspired by each other, we learn from each other.
I'm a painter, but I started printing, I think it must be 12 years ago now, so I've been at it a long time as well. And I found it really added to my practice overall, which has been beneficial to both. I think both the painting and printing sort of feed into each other in different ways, which is really interesting in ways that I didn't think that they would. But it's expanded my kind of practice overall, which has been really good. And the community aspect as well of a print studio is something that's often kind of overlooked, because I think as a painter or in a lot of the arts, I suppose musicians and writers the same, you're often kind of solitary, so it's nice to have an outlet where it's where there's a community and a kind of social interaction.
So this is a relief press. This is called the Eagle Press. We kind of call it that, although it's a Colombian press, but because of the large eagle on top of it, that's what it's called. And on this we print wood cuts and lino cuts. Also a letterpress can be printed on it. This is an example of a lino. So there's the image from it. And the artist, Martha Wahula Mack, made 3 different blocks, one for each colour. So effectively what happens is that she has carved away everything except the surface that she wants to have the ink on, and that is in relief. It's higher than everything else. So when she gets her roller and rolls out her ink, she can roll it across this surface and it will only go onto the surface that's raised and will miss the lower surface here. And then that's printed. The block is put in here and the first print is taken. Then she introduces a new colour on a new block and prints it similarly, and then the final one on top, and that gives all of the black detail and so on. And this technique, this press can be used for, this is lino, it can be used for wood cut. There's a print here behind me by Jenny Lane, the fish, and that's one of her other wood blocks, the tree.
You apply the ink all over the plate and remove it gently so that it remains, the ink is cleaned off every part apart from the bitten parts where the ink will sit in, where the plate has been bitten and etched. So you can see it gradually cleaning off here. So you just look for any anomalies or changes in colour or anything like that, but it's printing really well.
Yeah, we also do screen print in the studio, and what we have done is coated the screen. In this case we are using a photographic method. So what we do is coat the screen with a light sensitive material and then block out areas with the drawing that the artist produces. That's the yellow on its own before everything else went on top. Sometimes I come out and I haven't realised it's been raining all day. You know, we don't really look out the windows all that much necessarily. We get quite engrossed in the work. So, but it is very important to us that it gives access to the artists, much easier access. We're very close to the buses and so on, and it's in walking distance of town and our gallery.
It's somewhat of a hidden gem. I think it's not really well known in Dublin or in Ireland, but it's I think its place in the arts community is it's really important, and it's great that it's been recognised by the Arts Council throughout the years, and they've backed it and supported it enormously, which has been crucial, I think, to the fact, or for it to remain open and to keep going.
I'm joined here by Myra and Debbie, who are DRFM volunteers and are also our mobile journalists for the day. So they're going to go out and experience Culture Night for themselves. Hello, ladies.
Hello, Lydia.
Can you tell me, first of all, what does Culture Night mean to you?
Well, for myself, it's a wonderful experience to learn the different things that are happening in Dublin from the last couple of years, from going from Glasnevin Cemetery to Henrietta Street, Dublin Castle, and the city just opens up, and it's just a wonderful education, and most of the places are free, which is just an added bonus. And but Debbie and I had the honour of going out and interviewing. Debbie went to the Leprechaun Museum, which was a wonderful experience for Debbie, and I had the honour of going to Henrietta Street, 14 Henrietta Street, which is an absolutely amazing place.
That actually sounds riveting. I can't wait to hear from you a little bit later on. You both are volunteers in DRFM, aren't you? Is that how you got roped into doing this?
Well, I yes. No, well, I'm not too sure about that answer, but I got into DRFM. Actually, Debbie was an instructor and a wonderful instructor, and I got through, I saw an advertisement in Dublin City University, and I phoned up DRFM and put my name down. So everybody, all the managers and all the other presenters, they came in and took turns to teach the class, and we got a certificate at the end, and I took to it like a duck to water. But I have to say, Debbie is just an amazing teacher.
Excellent. So how did you find transition from radio to recording with your mobile phone? Now, Lydia,
seriously. There was a couple of moments at the beginning, it was a little shaky and everything else, but for the Henrietta Street, a lovely young lady, Kathy Chandler, and we walked up and down Henrietta Street and the building, and she was wonderful. So I did make a few mistakes, so I'm hoping the editors might be able to rectify that. And Debbie went to the Leprechaun And and that was also a wonderful experience.
Excellent. I haven't actually been to Henrietta Street myself, but I've been to Leprechaun Museum, and I think their after hours, like the late night show, is the most hilarious thing I've ever seen.
Oh wow! Well, I haven't been there yet.
It's like adults only. Yeah, like a scary type of a show.
Oh goodness. Okay.
Very good. And is there anything else specific you're looking forward to seeing tonight?
Oh, well, the list is long, so, but I'm going to, because I went to Henrietta Street, I'm just going to keep all my attention for that. I had no idea of the history of the building, and so many people lived in that. And also, Kate Chandler also explained that on Census Night in I think it was 1911, that there were a huge number of people staying in that house.
Wow.
So an interesting history.
Very
so that's
good.
my thing. So
excellent. Well, thank you very much for coming in. I can't wait to see how you got on in Leprechaun Museum and in the Henrietta Street. And I see that Rebecca has her next guest ready now.
Thank you, Lydia. My name is Rebecca, and this evening I'll be interviewing the creative artist residents here in the Chocolate Factory. Please welcome my first guest, Emmett Bosnier from Copper Creations. Hello, Emmett.
Hi, Rachel. How are you?
Thank you so much for joining us.
No problems.
Now, tell us, what is it you do here in the Chocolate Factory?
Okay, so my company is called Copper Creation, and basically it's an industrial design brand. So I salvage and recycle old pieces of metal, typically copper, brass and iron, and try to create a range. I've created a range of homewares. So you've got the tableware, candlesticks, kind of tableware items, and then a full range of lighting. So we've got table lamps, floor lamps, wall lamps, ceiling lamps, you name it. So,
and I see you have one here, and you also have a beautiful one here in the back as well.
Yeah, so they'd be just two examples of what you can do with, over 75% of this is from recycled sources. So you've got scrap yards, you've got recycling
So you'd actually go to a scrapyard yourself and rummage around to find your materials.
There involves a little bit of rummaging, all right, but I don't get as much time as I would like to. I'd love to be there more. What I've found of late is that there's some factories with some offcuts and stuff, and I'm in touch with some plumbers, gas engineers and that, who have a lot of
and that's a great
smaller waste.
That's a great idea. Instead of them wasting their products and kind of disposing them themselves, you can then recreate them and make something as fabulous as this.
Yeah, because the thing with it is it's easy to recycle, but there's a lot of process going into their recycling, a lot of energy used to melt down metals and recreate new material. But also what's nice is a lot of customers have come and they're doing renovations, they're doing up their homes, and
this look is very in at the moment. I've seen, what is it called again? Is it fragment or
filament?
Filament.
So this is an old-fashioned tungsten filament bulb.
It's fab.
So not the most energy conscious. This is a 40 watt,
okay.
But I have it on a dimmer, so you can adjust the brightness on it up and down.
Brilliant! Set the mood.
Yeah, so that goes right down to 4 watts, which is the equivalent of an LED, and also you can turn it on and off with the switch.
This is brilliant.
Which is cool.
Very
it's
clever,
a nice
very
reuse
innovative.
of the old. You'd see these in your hot press when you've got a leak.
That's
and
fair.
your mom or dad says run up and turn the water off.
Yeah, it did look slightly familiar, but I
these are the
wasn't
ones.
too sure whereabouts I've seen
They come in red and blue. I kind of paint them any colour too, and then you've got the nice kind of cable to match up to. Italian kind of braided flex, which is really nice. But yeah, it's interesting. A lot of I love working on bespoke work, commissions, big or small. Doing different designs.
So somebody
for people.
can approach you or contact you, and essentially ask for what they'd like.
Yeah, I love that. Like doing some really interesting stuff lately for some companies and for some private individuals too. So
Brilliant.
You've got houses, ceiling lights. The great thing about the copper pipe in particular is it's quite easy to work with, so you can create very different shapes and unusual structures.
And what kind of process would that be? Like, what kind of, I suppose, equipment do you use to create something like this?
So obviously it comes from scrap. So 90% of my work is cleaning. So polishing, scrubbing, washing, everything back up to the shiny finish.
Yes.
And then I do a lot of sort of soldering too. So silver soldering, which is a basic plumbing. I'm not a plumber, but it's a basic plumbing process, and that involves a lot of heat and some solder. I wouldn't say any of my joints are watertight, but I don't think you're going to be putting water through something.
No, especially
like
not electrical.
this. Electrical, but and I polished them back to a natural finish. So the idea is that there's no kind of covering or lacquer or anything like
Which
that.
is quite nice because it makes it look quite organic and kind of natural instead of
Yeah.
trying to make it all look the one colour.
Yeah, and it'll age. So what I always say to people is it'll age with you or your home, your
Yeah, and
experience.
embrace that as a product.
You know, it's going to get fingerprints. It's going to get, you know, I want people to pick it up, touch it, play with it, mess around with
Yeah.
it, you know.
And especially with this one, it's quite interactive.
It's cool with the switch. And there's a very satisfying click there too. I don't know
Yeah.
if you can hear that,
That's for
but
sure.
it's kind of cool. Yeah.
And how long are you here in the chocolate factory as a resident?
So I am literally just gone 2 months. So September.
wow.
Or sorry, 2 years. 2 years.
From in there, I was
2
like,
months.
wow, we have a newbie.
2 years. So yeah, I would have known of the chocolate factory. I went to college next door in DIT, did my degree there in engineering, and
Oh, wow.
I would have known of the building here.
It's a fabulous space.
It's a super spot, and like there's over 30 individual companies or businesses here
Which is
operating.
brilliant.
Few less now because of COVID, but you know
unfortunately.
it's understandable. And a vast wealth of different businesses. You know, you've got a recording studio to artists to accountants, architects, photographers.
Stay tuned for a few of those.
Yeah, you've got a cafe. You've got lots of diverse kind of creativity going on here. It's a great building to be in the community because there's always someone to call on with a question, run an idea past. If you have a problem,
It seems
you
like
know.
a real immersive community hub in a sense.
Yeah, it is. It's great, and you know everyone's not here all the time,
Of
but
course.
you know,
But it's nice to have a space where you can kind of come back and chat with each other and
Yeah.
kind of throw
Yeah.
ideas around. Which
yeah,
is quite nice.
and you invariably end up working together too. Like, you know, like I did a lot of photos recently with one of your other guests, Jerry, and he did a fantastic job very quickly. Like, you know, and it's great to, I suppose, what's hard running your own business is you're on your own a lot of the time. You don't have a partner or that, and as a sole trader, you're kind of you're everything. You know,
Yeah.
you're the, what's that saying, the bread maker, you know, you're doing everything yourself. It's great
course.
to have other people with other experiences that you can bounce ideas off of and get advice. Just even talk to someone that's not you.
I know. Well, thank you so much, Emmett,
You're
for
welcome.
joining us today. Now we're heading over to Karen in the interview area.
Thanks, Rebecca. Really interesting stuff. And now in studio with me, we have James Flood from Dublin City Comics. James, you're very welcome to
How's it
Culture Night TV.
I'm glad to be here.
So tell us a little bit about your shop and your work and what are you doing now?
Well, Dublin City Comics, we're now on 103 to 104 Capel Street, Dublin 1. We've been in the area for about 10 years now. We're like a little local establishment, and we're a shop basically run for fans, by fans. So that's what kind of sets us apart from the usual crowd, is we actually know what we're talking about. We're fans of this, grew up with it as well, and we're trying to encourage new people and new kids into the sort of lifestyle we're into. And it's the medium of storytelling through artwork and comics and cartoons, gaming and action figures.
For fans, by fans. I like that.
Yeah, it's basically trying to keep ourselves in our own jobs. Basically, didn't want to work for anybody else. We try to do what we liked as well. So.
Very good. So your shop is very near to here, isn't it?
It's not too far around. It's just around the corner.
But closed now, unfortunately.
Well, no, the one shop we did have, we're in 2010. Most people know us from Bolton Street, but
Okay.
we've moved out there last year, and we have a bigger store down the road, just in 103, 104 Capel Street. And now the new thing as well is now online at dublincitycomics.ie. So in this turbulent time that we're in at the moment, people can still get their stuff from us as well through our social media channels: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and nothing beats good old-fashioned coming into the shop, but to keep everybody safe, there's dublincitycomics.ie now as well.
Excellent. And I'm admiring your T-shirt.
Oh, this is our logo. This was designed by David Houseman and Cormac Hughes a few years ago. So this is our kind of mascot as well. It's like mysterious Viking as well.
Yeah. I was trying to identify who it was. It's not Thor, but it...
Oh no, it's more or less a Viking design, and just kind of unique as well, because just like through most fantasy and science fiction stuff, it's just all these other characters and designs, it just appeals to the eye as well. So it just kind of set us apart from the rest of them as well.
So how did you get involved in this?
In comics and toys in general.
Is it from a child?
Yeah, basically, my dad and Star Wars and stuff like that. I was a Star Wars generation and everything else. So I grew up with that, and everything else came after that. Discovering Planet of the Apes, and then comics 2000 AD, and that's what happened through most people are my age as well. And they all wanted to start working in comics, and just Star Wars just opened up your brain, and just thought what you could do is like there's no limited imagination now. So you have loads of artists and writers: Wayne Talbot, Cormac Hughes, Rob Carey, Trina Farrell, Stephen Mooney, Nick Roach, all these people who now work in comics. comics and friends of ours, and with the help of the internet as well. You're not just limited to Ireland, so you can basically go on put your artwork online, and you never know who's going to see it. So that's what we encourage all the kids who are coming doing their drawings and everything else now, and writing stories, is don't just because you don't think it's any good doesn't mean someone else won't, and don't throw it away, because you can now use the internet, put your artwork up there, your stories. You never know what will happen. You can end up working for Marvel, DC, IDW, all these other comics. And then what we're going to do for Culture Night is we're going to actually put links and advertise all these people out there, like all small press and people who do artwork or just work on their own things in their own time. So we're going to find their Instagram pages, our Facebook pages, and we're going to promote them on our page. Because the idea behind Culture Night is last year we would bring a few of the studios like Road Comics, Lightning Strike, and Limit Break into the shop, so people come in and meet the creators and meet and greet and realise there's people just like you who sit at home after hours drawing comics and writing, and now they're actually doing it professionally and sub-professionally as well. So the idea is if they can't get into the shop now, we're going to promote you on our websites, on our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, anything we can do on the night, just to try and get people out there and try and make them a few bob and advertise these people and hopefully get them some work somewhere else. And just because for the past few months they've been all been sitting around and they should hopefully been drawing and writing and getting creative as well. So.
And did you find that the last couple of months that you became more creative because you kind of had to?
We kind of had to ourselves, because we were more of a personable shop. We had a lot of people since we reopened in June. We were shut down right through from March, and we were lucky enough that we all live nearby, so we were able to keep the shop going online, which is what brought the DublinCityComics.ie to keep it posting stuff out to people, and because people needed mental stimulation, whether they wanted their comics, their toys, or just something to play with, because we realised there's a few people in situations where they can't leave their areas, mental reasons, or just physical, or just illnesses and everything else. And it was a daunting time for a lot of people, so we've tried to keep on our Facebook as well, just try to keep everything light, and through social media just reach out to people and know they're not alone. We can get stuff posted out to them, and we'll get through all this, which is a lot of it is. So a lot of people miss coming into the shop, and they're taking precautions. We've got loads of precautions in place, like most places as well, and they come into us. So just for Culture Night, it will still be open on the day, but we wouldn't, instead of having people come in and meet and greet the artists and writers, we're going to actually just do it virtually
and get them online. Well, it sounds like you're doing an awful lot to get people connected.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the community kind of thing is what we try to do, because there's a lot of Irish people and international people as well who like all this sort of stuff, and they want to try and either support the local community or be part of the local community. So in a way, we always have to try and help people. If someone has a good artist, someone's a good story, we try and get people meeting, and that's what some of this group of people that we have met over the years, they've all went and mixed and matched and just networked with each other. And again, through the power of the internet, social media, a lot more got in touch with each other as well. And then through the whole lockdown, people were at home drawing, building things, creating things, cosplayers, making costumes, making arts and crafts and stuff. So it's just an idea of trying just give back to what happened to us.
So it sounds, James, like a growing business as well.
Well, hopefully it keeps growing, yeah. Every year it get better and better. And there's like the new movies, the Marvel movies do help, because what happens is people see the characters, want to come in, find out about the characters. There's Marvel, there's DC, but we try to throw them towards, say, independent characters or stuff you wouldn't know. There's actually detective comics, there's sci-fi comics, horror comics. It's not just superheroes. So it's and then dramatic comics as well. So
speaking of superheroes, I can't let you go without asking, who's your favourite?
It's Batman. I've grown up with Batman as well, but over the years I discovered stuff like Spawn and Ghost Rider and things like that, for the main things as well. But just learned that, and then the past few months we've learned the real people out in the real world are the real superheroes.
Thank you.
So that's where we're going.
Great way to finish. Well, thank you so much, James, for that. Very enlightening. And now we have a short video from Easy Treesy.
I'm Orla Farrell of EasyTreesy.com. So I'm with the charity Crown Trees for Ireland. We have 1 million school children in Ireland, and we're planting 1 tree per child over the next 4 years.
So hi, I'm Steve Doody and I'm here with EasyTreesy.com. We're planting an apple tree here today in Santry.
I'm a teacher, and in our school in Baldoyle we planted some trees at the Millennium, and it was a very successful project because it was quite easy to do and the children got great benefit from watching all the birds that came to visit the trees and all the wildlife that moved in. There were so many benefits to it that I thought it would be a great project to extend.
I was involved with the Climate Ambassador programme on Taishke, and I know Orla from there. So I've been planting trees now maybe 3 or 4 years, and I've done a couple of different projects with Orla.
So we did a similar project then when we amalgamated with the girls' school, and by then we'd run out of space to plant in our school. So we asked Fingal County Council, could they give us some space in a local park? And by then I was running the Green Flag programme, the An Taisce Green Schools programme in our school, and we had come across the Plant for the Planet project.
People know the primary benefits of the clean air and give us oxygen, they give us fruit, but they also tend to reduce flooding. They increase the value of property prices in the area. They reduce the heating bills, air conditioning bills.
We called our project Easy Treesy. The children came up with the name because it's not that hard to plant a tree. And when it's in your local area, the children really enjoy, they've told me, and so have their parents, they enjoy walking to school. By knowing the local trees in their local area, we found that there's a much decreased incidence of vandalism, for example, because they know that it takes so many years for a tree to grow to maturity. We've made a film of the 28 native trees of Ireland, so they learn the names of the trees.
I like planting trees, like digging it. When I scoop a shovel, I put the dirt in the pile. I like that part.
There's a huge disconnect between kids and understanding where their food comes from, how it's made, how it's grown, and that kind of thing. And then biodiversity in general. If you don't have biodiversity, if you don't have trees and wildlife, you have bad quality air, bad health, all that kind of thing.
For us, it's wonderful that the trees can do a lot of minding of themselves. Once they're not disturbed, once the parks are aware that they're there, and so they've left the grass grow long around them.
An apple tree in itself will support maybe 300 different life forms when it's mature, everything from lichens to birds to small insects and that kind of thing.
We always plant with the permission of the landowners. That is very important, and then they help us with the maintenance and making sure that they're not trimmed away.
So we're planting an apple tree. If you think of a Granny Smith, for example, all Granny Smiths we have today come from an original Granny Smith tree. So what they did was cloned that tree. They cut a branch off it and then they graft that onto a rootstock, which is the bottom part here. You can see where this knuckle on it joins. If you plant the seed of a Granny Smith apple, when that grows into an apple tree, it will taste different to the original Granny Smith. So what they're trying to do is keep the same flavour, texture and type of apple the whole way through.
We've had support from the business community. Indeed, a business group came out here to help us out in Santry here in February.
This is a passport. So trees that are for export or moving around, they have to have one of these anywhere in Europe. So you know where the tree came from, its heritage, and that it's free from any invasive insects or fungi or anything like that.
We've gone from strength to strength, and today we've planted 100,000, and we're on about our 100,060th tree.
So you'll even see here with this little rootstock, the roots in the pot have started to turn in on themselves. It's what's becoming root bound. So to combat this, we've dug a square hole so that when we put the tree into the hole, that the new root system, when it's growing out, it'll hit the square wall and it will keep going straight out. If it was a curved hole, it will hit that and turn back in upon itself, so the roots don't spread out as much and give the tree as much anchorage in the ground. This root ball here already, we've soaked this today, so adding water to it just to make it nice and wet, and we'll just pick out that a little bit.
Wherever we find public land to plant, then we are happy to come and plant there at the earliest date.
So we'll just get the root balls here and pick out. Sometimes if you have sepateurs and there's any unneat roots, you can just trim them off as well. The root system will often look like a tree if you turn it up the other way. It's pretty much a copy of the top. So we'll put this in here then, and we'll just firm back in.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So where the apple tree joins to the rootstock, the important thing is that that rootstock, where they join, is about this much above the ground. It's just so that any dirt gets up around this, it can start another set of roots. Stand her in there with your heel, just around the edge. Oh, you come back there. That's it, and we'll just and that's how to plant an apple tree.
Trees will result in a 1 degree difference in temperature. Once we have our trillion trees planted, that is the aim, that this decade we will manage not to sort climate change, but it is certainly one of the simplest, easiest solutions to the heating of our planet that's occurring and that we see in the news every day.
That was some interesting stuff from Easy Treesy. And now I'm joined here by our first music guest, Lauren Batt from Offaly. Welcome, Lauren.
Thank you for having me.
Lauren says she's been writing music since she was 11.
Yeah, I started playing music when I was about 10, and then when I was about 11 I kind of decided, I might as well start writing my own songs, because I used to write like stories and little stuff the whole time. So then I started writing music, and then when I was about 14 I decided to make a YouTube channel just to post all my own music and covers and stuff there, and it kind of went on from there. So yeah, songwriting is really a big part of it, I suppose.
Excellent. And where do you get your inspiration from?
I get my inspiration from a lot of different places. I'm a big 80s fan. I love 80s music, all types. And I suppose kind of older music as well, like kind of classic people like Michael Jackson, Elvis. I really like the way they sing and kind of portray their music, and a lot of modern stuff. Kind of across the whole genre of music, I listen to everything. So that's where I get my inspiration from.
That sounds amazing. It is my favorite type of music as well. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit, how did you spend the last few months? You said you had a bit of inspiration.
Yeah, during quarantine, I suppose I had a lot of time to kind of think about what kind of music I wanted to write and what kind of messages I wanted to get across and how I wanted to express myself. So during quarantine I had a lot of time kind of writing my own music, listening to more music for inspiration, and it was a really good opportunity to kind of get to know my own musical abilities and things like that. So I suppose a lot of songwriting happened anyway, which was really good for me anyway.
Excellent. And where can our viewers follow you?
Well, I'm on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, everything, Facebook. It's all Lauren Batt, and I'm on Spotify as Lauren Batt as well. I have a few songs coming up there soon as well.
Excellent. And did you have any performances scheduled?
I'm supporting Zoe Clark in Whelan's on the 24th of September, so I'm really excited for that and how it goes, because it's been postponed a couple of times, so I'm excited for that if it goes ahead.
I think that would be brilliant to see kind of venues start opening again.
Yeah, hopefully anyway.
Absolutely. You are performing the song Green Ice for us today. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
It's an original song I wrote during quarantine actually, and I always write my songs in the middle of the night, and this was the middle of the day, and I just kind of felt the need, so I suppose I just kind of wrote it really quickly, and it's one of my favourite songs I wrote, so I'm happy with it.
Excellent. I can't wait to hear it.
Thank you. Polaroid picture. Tell me I'm pretty, please. Planes and stars smile at midnight. Where are you, my dream? You are safe in me, green eyes. I don't want to die. Keep me alive. My mind likes to control me, puppet on a string. But you've become my salvation. How are you, my dream? You are safe in me, green eyes. I don't want to die. Keep me alive. Keep me alive. I woke up early last Sunday. Greet the birds while you sleep. I hope they tell you you're perfect. Put in a good word for me. You are safe in me, green eyes. I don't want to die. Keep me alive. Keep me alive.
Laura and Beth, that was wonderful. Make sure to follow her on Spotify, YouTube, and hopefully gig in Whelan's goes ahead in a few days' time as well. Our teams have visited Pottery Studio, Iron Street East, and we're going to see how they got on.
So my name is Gail. I teach the workshops here in Iron Street East. We have a classroom up on our top floor above all the pottery where everything's made. Cafe opened last summer, I believe it was. Yeah, it's been open for a year now. It opened because we had this lovely shop space, really lovely and bright, and people were coming in and wanting to spend a bit longer, so it just made sense that could have some tea and coffee and then actually use the pottery as well and have an experience of using it before they actually bought it, which is quite nice. It's quite unique. There's not many coffee shops that the pottery, I don't know any actually, that the pottery is made on the same site. It's quite unusual, especially in the middle of a city. And it's just a chill, it's a very chilled atmosphere. Pottery you can't rush, so everybody has to kind of stay calm. So Iron Iron Street East was started by Laura McGahey. Basically, she couldn't find a pottery that she actually wanted to buy. She was down in school over the summer and she got a potter to teach her a bit of throwing, and she got the idea to design some pots and hire potters to make them. And so Iron Street East kind of grew out of that summer throwing pots. There's been a resurgence in craft in the last few years, but at the time it just wasn't as visible, and she really wanted it to be a visible craft that people could see the process, just so we're not quite as removed from the things we use every day.
So I'm making bowls. These are the breakfast bowls that we do, and we make everything here on tiles. So with each pot that we do, put the tile in first. Grab my clay. The clay's already been weighed out, so I'm sticking the ball onto the wheel and centering first, which just to get all the clay aligned and get it running true. That, and break in with my thumbs and fingers and draw the base out like that.
So we start with clay, which comes from Stoke-on-Trent in England, and throw the vessel on the wheel. That has to be let dry for a while, usually about 2 days, depending on what time of year it is. Then it has to go into the kiln for its first firing. It takes about 2 to 3 days. Then has to be glazed, which can be either dipped into a glaze or sprayed on.
We bisque fire the clay when it comes down from the throwing department, and it comes out like this. It has a chalky feel to it, and it absorbs a glaze, which is what gives it its colour. So these here have been dipped around 12 hours ago, probably 12 to 15 hours ago, and it gives you a chalky texture. And at this point, I'm just smoothing out that texture. Got some bubbles, got some drips, and this is the final stage before we put it back in the kilns. We'll go to around 1240 degrees.
And then goes back into the kiln for another 2-3 days, and then taken out, packed, wrapped up, and sent out. All in all, it takes a bowl from a lump of clay to a finished glazed bowl, ready to be eaten out of, takes about 2 weeks.
All of the surfaces that we have, they're straight surfaces. Now when you hand throw something, you tend to get throwing lines in the sides. So what this does is kind of, it compresses the wall. After we sort of got the shape to where we want it, we can hold the steel rib against the side of the pot, and then you just press, you can push the pot up to it. It makes it a stronger pot because it compresses the clay. But it also gives it a much crisper, straighter line. So then we get this guy, which is like a paint scraper, and you trim in a little curve at the bottom. And that way when it dries, it's dead straight. So my name's Andrew Ilsley. I'm one of the potters here at Iron Street East. I was an archivist before working here. I kind of had a big reshuffle around in my life, decided to stop being an archivist and be a potter full time. Pottery, it feels like a really old conversation. So the oldest archaeology that we have is shards, and is pottery shards, and we've got shards from thousands and thousands of years ago, and you find a thumbprint or you see a thrown pot, and it feels like a touchstone between yourself and just a whole lineage of makers who are overcoming the same problems, working with the same material and having the same connection with the material. And then the clay itself has been around for millions of years, changing and shifting around. And then to be interacting with it and making form out of this lump of peculiar material, which is like, it's not quite solid, it's not quite fluid, and it's so responsive. It picks up and shows back to you whatever's going on inside in a way. So if you're tense and awkward, you get a tense and awkward pot. If you're a bit off-centre, you get a bit of an off-centred pot. And so it feels like a dialogue with clay, and it doesn't get boring.
What I love about pottery is that you get to put stuff out there that you think has value and that can hopefully be a nice touch to people's, especially when it's functional stuff, to people's like everyday lives, like having a cup of tea. I think out of a handmade mug is so much different to having it out of one that there's millions of. Super biased, but I think that's lovely. And yeah, that's kind of why I love making it so much. Is one, it's a beautiful process. It's very sensory to actually make in clay. And the final object is just lovely. Most of the time.
There's a tactile feel to it. There's something I was just drawn to in college. We could have done many subjects. Most of us could have been painters, printers, but the people who chose to do ceramics, very low numbers, but they all loved the process. We have deadlines. It is a tough job like every other job, but we get to use our hands. We get to make beautiful objects. To be able to do this with a small group in Dublin is very rare. It's a beautiful thing.
So what appeals to me about pottery and what got me sucked in when you're in a rhythm with making that feels like flying, really. It's there's once you sort of boil down the making to the minimum essential moves and then just doing one after another, there's a flow to it which is it's delightful. And it's magic.
And now with me in studio, I have Ulrike Gasser from the Goethe Institute. Ulrike, you're very welcome to Culture Night TV.
Thank you very much, Karen.
And I was just asking you before the break, how long have you been in Ireland? So tell us.
Yeah, it's actually only 2.5 weeks, so I'm very new and very excited. It's wonderful being here, actually.
Okay, so 2.5 weeks in, what do you think of Dublin so far?
I mean, I have to say there was a period of self-isolation for 2 weeks, so I have only been like outside in Liberty since last Friday, so I haven't seen so much, but what I saw was more than I expected. So actually I'm very positively surprised by Dublin.
Excellent. So tell us about the Goethe Institute. What's the history there?
I mean, the Goethe Institute in Dublin, it's on Marion Square East, and it's very old. So next year we're going to celebrate our 60th anniversary. We're very excited about that. And actually what we do is that we promote international cultural exchange, mainly between Ireland and Germany, but also beyond that. And we promote the German language, so we have a lot of language classes and different activities. We have a huge library, so a lot of things to do, basically, to explore.
And if I wanted to learn German, how would I go about that?
Best would be to go on our website, and right now would actually be the perfect time, because also we ask the schools as well. We're going to start the autumn term, so now it's also the best possibility to choose a language course. But I also found out you're also speaking German, right? A little bit.
Ein bisschen.
Ein bisschen, yes, very nice.
Yeah. It's been a very long time, in der Schule, which was a very long time ago.
Yes, but it's very nice that you speak it, though.
So if I wanted to pick up German again and I went on your website, are the courses weekly or weekends, or can you describe to me how I'd go about doing that?
Actually, there are many different possibilities. I mean, right now with the corona situation, we're also doing a lot of our activities online. So you can also attend an online course, for example. And they are longer, like for 16 weeks or for shorter terms or in the evening, on the weekend. So there are actually different possibilities. So we try to make it as suitable as possible to our customers. And especially because we're talking about Culture Night today, we have taster classes, which will start or which will be open on Culture Night for 20 minutes. So you can also see if you like the language or not, if it's going well or not.
And as part of the culture, it's not just about the language.
No, it's not about the language.
No. So tell us about the culture.
Yes, actually we're promoting culture in all fields, from let's say theater, dance, literature, music, everything. So very rich, and also the perfect match actually with Ireland, which is so strong in culture, and people very culture-loving people. So it's very nice to work here. And what we are offering on Culture Night is actually there are 2 activities for children or for families. One is a shadow theater, and the other one is an introduction in our Earth Beaker project. So that's let's say, that's an interactive artwork by Olafur Eliasson, the Berlin-based artist, where children and young adults can promote their ideas for saving our planet.
Okay.
So this is also very interesting. And we have a German prog rock concert, which is at 7 p.m. And what we are also doing is we're opening a new, we have a very small gallery in our Goethe Institute, and we're also opening this. And this is together with the Master of Arts students of the National College of Fine Arts, NCAD, I think.
NCAD, you're right.
Right, exactly.
Well done.
Yes.
And if we were to go along to do that later, do you have to speak German, or is it through English, or what would we need to do?
No. We're except in the language courses, you can do everything in English for sure.
Okay.
And
So
the
there are no
gallery you can
barriers.
also visit, and the other things are streamed.
And free of charge?
Free of charge, for sure.
All free of charge. Sounds amazing. So Ulrika, thanks so much for joining us in studio today with Culture Night TV.
Yes.
Where are you based?
We are based in Marion Square.
Marion Square.
Yes.
Thanks for letting us know. Okay, so that was Ulrika Gesser from the Goethe Institute. And next up, Rebecca.
Thank you, Karen. I'm now joined with my next guest from the Chocolate Factory, Jerry O'Dwyer from Jerry Has an Idea. Hi, Jerry. You're very
Rebecca,
welcome.
how are you? How are
I'm
you doing?
Good, thank you. So tell us, Jerry Has an Idea.
That's right. My background is graphic design and advertising. I worked with lots of agencies around Dublin in the last 15 years. And then maybe 3 years ago, actually maybe more than 3 years ago, I decided to go freelance. And I was working from home for a bit. And then I stumbled upon this place. I came in, fell in love with it. And luckily enough, a studio was becoming vacant. So I've been here ever since. And it's been a lot of fun. There's great variety here. It isn't like loads of people like me scowling at each other. Like there's people who make beverages, drinks, furniture. There's all sorts of stuff going on here. So it's always
It's a
very
lovely
lively.
creative hub, as I was saying to our guest Emmett earlier on today.
It is indeed,
which I think is
absolutely.
fabulous for you guys, because especially when you're freelance, it's difficult, it's not easy. So it's nice to have people to talk to and to get advice from in the same industry.
Bounce ideas off and whatever.
Exactly.
And
So
also
for
good
your-
restaurant downstairs as well.
A
Warms the
good
place
restaurant,
up.
sure, what more could you want?
Exactly.
Do they do good coffee though? That's the question.
Pretty good. Very, very
Keep
good.
you going.
Very good.
So tell us about your business, Jerry. What
My
do you
business
do?
would be everything from branding to events to advertising. And sometimes I collaborate with some of the more interesting agencies around Dublin as well. So there's lots of variety. One week you might have to be an expert on some financial sector. The next week you might have to bone up on your info about rugby or whatever. So it's lots of different variety.
Which is quite nice, because it means you get to have an interest in different areas and research different areas.
You get to know a little about a lot.
So every day is different.
It can be.
Which is always.
Yes, on good weeks, that's for sure.
So where do you get your inspiration from? Because if you check out Jerry on the Chocolate Factory website and all our other guests this evening, I've seen your work and it's quite inspiring. It's quite different for an ad campaign, for example. Where do you get your inspiration for these kind of pieces?
Anything, often it boils down to, not to use a fancy word, but strategy, for example, is just a fancy word for just figuring out what you're going to focus on. So often if you just do a lot of thinking first, sometimes making things look pretty and exciting can often be the easy part. If you just kind of clarify what it is you're trying to say, then you can find loads of different and interesting ways to say it. Like often I find if you're handed a good brief, that's almost where all the creative work comes from. So from there, it's just ideas sometimes suggest themselves. So I suppose like anyone else, keep interested in books, films, magazines, YouTube, you grab the inspiration from everywhere, really.
Especially when you're a creative person like yourself, it
Exactly.
kind of just sticks
And
in the brain and kind of helps then
That's
to...
it. But it's nice to collaborate with people as well. It's lovely to team up. Like you do lots of jobs solo, but it's lovely to be in a group. Especially when you're working with agencies, you're getting to meet some very talented planners and, it's great to see, to kind of network with lots of people like that.
To collab with each other.
Exactly, yeah.
And what would you say would be maybe one of your favourite campaigns, or campaign that you really felt you got to maybe explore a different avenue?
Well, see, I worked on a campaign a few years back with Publicis Dublin. It was for Clayton Hotels, and we just had fun. We went with the kind of the Goldilocks effect. So we had this idea where we put a bear into different situations, and the hotels are just perfect. It's just like playing on the fairy tale. But it was a very nice and interesting way to kind of stand out in a kind of a sector that can be very kind of wallpapery and two happy couple kind of smiling in a bedroom kind of thing. So it's just something different. So it's always nice to find a different avenue into what you're trying to say.
That's brilliant. And also I've noticed that some of your pieces kind of deal with problem solving, and perhaps the client has struggled maybe to market that kind of product. What's your take on the kind of problem-solving aspect?
What can happen is often you could have a company or an educational institute or something that are very impressive in their own right, but they don't know how to get across how good they are. They're a bit vague on how they present themselves. And so if you can kind of sit down with them and find out maybe one or two things they really want to kind of convey, then you'll find a nice clear way of saying it. And it's lovely to see the confidence in someone's face when you hand them a solution. It says, and they go, oh my God, that's exactly what I was endeavouring to convey, but I wasn't able to get it across. So
that's kind of where you step in.
Yeah, just to simplify and give clarity. That's essentially what I try and do, make things as simple as possible for people.
And what kind of platform or media do you use? Is it all online based, or maybe would the process start on paper, for example?
Always starts on paper with a few sketches.
Pen and paper.
Yeah, because within 2 minutes, you could have the embryo stages of a nice idea, but you won't have that if you sit down on the computer straight away. You just always keep away from the computer till the last moment and just scribble and little ideas. Often lucky mistakes can happen. You might look at a sketch you did and not recognise it, might suggest something else. So the pen, my logo is a pencil, so that's the idea. I always start with a pencil and paper. So
that's the best way to start for anything creative, I agree. And have you ever dabbled in anything physically, so like painting or anything else, or is it primarily all online?
A lot of it would be print-based. I used to do a lot of photography now. Like I don't.
Emma did mention that.
Yeah, so I haven't done any. My fine art painting skills were mediocre. I knew that from college, so I knew it was always graphic design. But you always go in and try and figure out things in a kind of a tangible way. So it's not straight at computer. You try everything. Can I give one shameless plug before I go?
You may.
You can see my work on jerryhasanidea.com, and I'm also 5 episodes into a podcast called How Are Things, where I speak to creatives from around the world. So it's worth checking out as well if you get a chance.
Sounds fascinating.
Good
Thank
stuff.
you so much.
Thank you very much,
Emmet.
Rebecca. Cheers. Thank you.
Now we're heading over to Lydia with some fabulous music.
Thank you, Rebecca. And I'm joined here by our next music performer, Rhiannon Clark. Hello and welcome.
Hello. Hi.
Hello. You said you were performing since you were 10.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more?
Well, yeah, I grew up in a musical family. My father, Andrew Clark, he was a busker. And so, he was always whistling and singing. And my mother would learn songs as well when I was a kid. And so I... Pardon? Oh, yeah. Basically, my mother would learn songs when I was a kid. And so I was very much influenced by my musical household. Mm-hmm. But also just music has been a great healer for me.
A big part of your life from the beginning.
Yeah.
Very good. And where do you get inspiration from?
I get inspiration from... I guess people like Nick Cave, he's an amazing songwriter and performer and artist, and David Bowie as well, with the colours and performance and theatricality, and then we have Kate Bush as well, so
it's very good company. I think I've seen Nick Cave live once, and it was one of the most amazing performances I've ever seen. So strong, definitely.
He's so engaging, isn't he?
Absolutely, you have to love it. You're so drawn into it. If anybody would like to follow you, what is the best place to do so?
Facebook on Rhiannon Clark Music. Yeah, on Facebook.
Very good. Yeah. And the song you're going to play for us today is Childlike.
Childlike, yes.
Can you tell me something about that?
Yes, the song is about embracing your inner child. And when you do that and keep your inner child happy, you'll stay young forever.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, no worries. Take it away, Shane. That child
brilliant tune from Rhiannon Clark. We're going to actually ask them to stay here for a little while longer, and they're going to join us with another song in a bit. And before that, we're going to go to Rediscovery Centre in Ballymun.
My name is Luke Murphy. I'm the Visitor Engagement Officer and Tour Guide here at the Rediscovery Centre in Ballymun. The Rediscovery Centre is the National Centre for the Circular Economy in Ireland. We're a creative movement connecting people, ideas, resources, all in the purpose of sustainability. So we're trying to advocate for the circular economy here in Ireland. At the moment we have the linear economy. We take resources, we make things from them resources, we use them things and they go to waste. We're trying to teach people about the circular economy, and basically that means making the most of our resources, and through things like long-lasting design, if we're using certain materials, when them items come to the end of their life, we can fix them, we can repair them, reuse them, make something new. We started off in 2004 as a small social enterprise, kind of coming out of the regeneration of Ballymun. Our first social enterprise was Rediscover Furniture, so the flats were coming down, people were getting new houses, they wanted new things. All this furniture was going to waste, it was going to landfill. So the idea was we'll start taking this in, upcycling it and giving it a new life and selling it on, so diverting that waste from going to landfill. So the building that we're located in now is the boiler house. It's still known as the boiler house, and this would have provided the hot water and central heating for all of the Ballymun flats. This building was set to be demolished in 2012, and as I mentioned, we were actually working out of different flats as the Rediscovery Centre. We are scattered around Ballymun. So when we basically heard that this building was to be demolished, we approached Dublin City Council and we said, okay, if you're going to spend all that money knocking down this building, why not give it to us? We can make up the rest of the cost and give it a new life. So that's what we did, and I suppose the building itself sort of embodies everything that we try to do with what comes into the centre, rather than our first instinct being, you know, get rid of it, knock it down, and can we think creatively about giving it a new life or fixing it? So that's what happened. So the Rediscovery Centre houses 4 social enterprises: Rediscover Furniture, Rediscover Fashion, Rediscover Paint and Rediscover Cycling. A social enterprise, the intention is to achieve social impact rather than economic profit for individuals, shareholders. So at the moment this is the workshop for Rediscover Cycling and Rediscover Paint. The way it works is we get our paint and our bikes from recycling centres around Dublin. There are bikes and recycling centres that are going to landfill. If they're suitable, we'll take them in, upcycle them, put parts from other bikes on them and sell them upstairs in our eco store. As well as, you know, providing a service for the community. If someone comes in, they can't afford a bike, let's say, that's brand new, and we're providing a bike that's upcycled as good as new for a fraction of the price at a high quality, but we're also achieving this environmental impact. Paint, same thing, we get our paint from recycling centres around Dublin. It's indoor paints. So if someone comes in with, let's say, a colour chart and they want a specific colour, we'll be able to remix that paint for them, and it'll be ready in a couple of days, and we sell it for €1 a litre. So all of the paint that you actually see around the building is Rediscover paint. So it was all mixed in the Rediscovery Centre. Most of the paint waste in Ireland is actually exported to Germany for thermal treatment, so it's incinerated. So that's where our paint waste goes. So we're obviously trying to divert this reusable paint from going to incineration. Fashion and furniture is a little bit different. We'll take some donations, but we need to take a look at them items first and see if they're suitable. With furniture, for example, we might take items in for restoration. We'll take unwanted items, upcycle them, and then sell them upstairs in our eco store, and similarly with fashion. Yes, so we run different public courses under our programme managers. We'd also get people in, so third parties in to run workshops. You know, we'd have bike maintenance courses for the public. Similarly with furniture, we do different courses on, let's say, French polishing and furniture restoration.
Hiya, I'm Aaron Murphy. I'm the Rediscover Fashion Programme Manager and you are in the Rediscover Fashion workshop here. Behind me here you can see our stock of fabrics, and these have all been diverted from landfill. They've been donated to us. So this is what we use when we're making and designing. Agnieszka up here is cutting sailcloth, which we're using to make these picker-pal bags. So this is a really great project. This is being rolled out in primary schools all around Ireland, and we've been commissioned to make these bags for the project. You fit a litter picker in here. Each class will get a litter picking bag, a picker-pal bag, and a student will get the bag for a week, and they'll go out litter picking with their family and kind of come back and report back to the class about what they found and where they cleaned and stuff like that. So it's a really nice project, and I think it's kind of the essence of what we do here in the Rediscover Fashion Workshop, because it's repurposing and reusing. So you can imagine the sailcloth is a really durable and sturdy fabric, which is brilliant for this purpose, but not so good if it ends up in landfill, because it's not going to decompose very quickly, you know. The thing we have going on here is our workbenches, our work tables. These are made from repurposed hospital beds. So they're really handy for sewing and for cutting on, because we can change the level of them. Well, it's a great place to come into. One thing that's really great is to come into an organisation where everyone here is on the same page and everyone is kind of striving for the same ideals. It's just great to be surrounded by that support and community. Courses are open to the public. Yeah, absolutely. We run a programme of Saturday courses that are open to everybody, and everybody is welcome. A lot of women coming in, but more and more I'm seeing it diversifying. Yeah, this would be my background. I've worked in fashion and costume, and then also teaching, community education. So this is perfect for me. It's a perfect place. I'm delighted to be here. I strongly believe in the circular economy, and there's more and more interest in learning how to sew and learning how to repair, in kind of becoming a bit more self-sufficient in those areas. So the upskilling part of it is something that I really, really love. I'm fairly passionate about the teaching, to be honest. And I just think it's such a great thing to have made something for yourself. It's very, very empowering, and I love passing that on to other people.
I think people, when they hear the word sustainability, the environment, it can be very, let's say, academic language. When you come here, it's a fun space to learn about sustainability and the circular economy, and it's kind of a practical learning experience. And the building itself is a 3D textbook design. So basically the building is designed as a unique learning space. If you're coming in, you know, off the street just to look at the shop, if you're coming into the cafe, the aim is that you'll look around the building and you'll learn from the way the building is designed. Tours are open to the public, yeah, so you can book online. It's all on the website through Eventbrite. They run 3 times a day, 5 days a week. I suppose if you can do one little thing to change your habits, you know, you don't have to change your life completely, but if you can do one little thing, you know, it's going to benefit in the long run. So that's what I always say to people when they come in at the end of a tour or anything like that. You know, do what kind of fits or suits you.
The Rediscovery Centre, well worth a visit, as is Sweeney's Pharmacy. So with us in studio now we have Jack Walsh, who's going to read the last couple of lines from Ulysses.
And Harry kissed me under the Moorish wall, and I thought, well him as another. And then I asked him with my eyes to ask again, yes. And then he asked me, would I yes to say, yes, my mountain flower. And first I put my arms around him, yes, and drew him down to me so he could feel my breasts all perfume, yes. And his heart was going like mad. And yes, I said, yes, I will, yes. Wow. There you go.
So that was Ulysses.
Yes, the end. That was a bit cheeky because I'm not a woman. So that was Molly Bloom's soliloquy. And yeah, so that was a little taster of what we might have on Culture Night. I'm from Sweeney's Joycean Pharmacy. It's the little place, Victorian sort of little shop opposite Kennedy's Pub on Westland Row, and it's actually in Lincoln Place. And we're all volunteers, and we host group readings of James Joyce's works all the time. It's really a little mini James Joyce museum with an amazing 1800s interior. And you got to drop down at some stage, but if you can't do that, then drop in on Zoom, or tonight you drop in on Facebook, our live Facebook stream. Okay, Sweeney's Pharmacy, Lincoln Place, Dublin. That's the Facebook page.
So Jack, that's at 7 o'clock this evening, isn't it?
Yeah, that is.
And you're streaming it live on Facebook today as well, I believe.
Yeah, well, really, the thing is, because we've had Zoom group readings for a long time. We normally have them in the shop, but because of the pandemic for the last 6 months, we've been doing it on Zoom. But in this case, what we're doing is that only the people who we have already had on Zoom will be reading and doing selected passages from not just Joyce, but Wilde and Yeats as well. It's called Sweeney's The Big Three. Okay, wow. Culture Night.
And you gave me a little present just as you walked in. What's this?
Yeah, it's just show them there. Yeah, that's our famous lemon soap. It's what in James Joyce's mind Leopold Bloom bought in Sweeney's Pharmacy, because Joyce always wrote about what he knew. And so he had been in Sweeney's Pharmacy. He had no doubt bought the soap. So did Nora Barnacle. She worked out the back in Finn's Hotel. And we sell that to keep our rent paid, because we're all volunteers.
So if I went down to Sweeney's Pharmacy and bought this, how much would that set me back?
€5. It'll save you from the virus. It's the best thing for the virus, okay? Like
and a little bit of history as well.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
So how often do you have people coming in just looking for lemon soap?
Well, normally we'd have loads of people this time of year because of the virus, because somebody ate a bat in China. We have a lot less this year, unfortunately. So
can I buy it online?
Yeah, you can.
And is it still €5 online as well?
It is, yeah. Well, you'd have to pay for post and packaging, but,
Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
So thank you so much for coming into studio,
very
Jack,
welcome.
and for reading Ulysses. I now know the last line of that book.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
That was Jack from Sweeney's Pharmacy.
Thank you, Karen. I'm now joined with my next guest, Dan Doherty, from Darkland's audio recording studio here in the Chocolate Factory. Hi, Dan. How are you getting on?
How's it going? Good.
Thanks for coming today.
No worries.
All the way up the stairs.
Yeah, legged it, out of breath.
So tell us a little bit about the Darkland studio.
I set it up kind of at the tail end of the last recession around 2012. I arrived at this building, the Chocolate Factory, and just kind of started with a small room downstairs, and I had a rough, very basic recording kind of system. I was kind of just at the end of my tether, work-wise, trying to find different stuff. So I just had to give it a go. I'd been to college to study sound, but I just gave it a go during that time and started doing it bit by bit and like working part-time as well. And just kind of built up my skills, I guess, my equipment, and started working with anybody and everybody I could.
And I mean, what a great place to start that.
Yeah, it's such a cool building. Like,
really cool.
When I moved in first, when I seen the ad, I seen those beautiful windows. And I was like, wow, that'll be cool. I ended up in the deepest, darkest corner of the building, but it's still cool. I love this
irony.
place. Yeah, I really love it.
But what's nice is that I wouldn't expect a studio to be here, so it's quite a hidden gem.
Yeah, no, it is. It's there's loads of cool studios here, yeah, but yeah.
So what is it you guys specialise in? So what services do you offer?
So I record bands, rappers. I record anybody and everybody really, but I guess like there's been a couple of breakout bands out of the studio, so I've got a name for kind of producing rock and roll
a bit of a
type
secret
of bands
agent
as
in
well.
the industry.
Well, just kind of like rock and roll type of stuff. A lot of people are coming to me for, but
nice.
Yeah.
Cool genre.
Yeah.
And what do you do yourself? Are you a musician, or do you do more of the kind of background sound engineering types of stuff?
So I was a drummer originally in a band called Sick Boy, 11 years ago, and then I was a singer in a band called Goethe Institute. So I was always involved in the
so you have a nice bit of
Irish
experience,
music industry, for the last few years. So I kind of worked my way into becoming a producer. I just always loved recording music. And
what's really nice about that is that you kind of have your own experience both sides, so recording, being, you know, on the set, or, you know, filming, etc. How then does that help you with your clients and people that come to you? Do you feel you kind of understand maybe the nerves or maybe any issues they might have?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like,
Yeah.
because I've been on both sides of the situation. Like, I've been like a nervous kid drummer going in, which can be intimidating in the studio. So like, I
Big
like
time.
to try and just get people in the right
Frame of
frame of
mind.
mind for
Exactly.
recording, you know, and just try and get them to relax and enjoy the process as much as they can, I guess.
And I believe you have, is it a 16-foot ceiling chamber?
It's
Echo. Explain,
Oh, yeah.
explain this to me. An echo chamber, is
Oh
it?
well, I kind of use the basement, yeah, so I can as a natural kind of reverb, so I can kind of send,
Fab.
say, like a vocal into one of the rooms down the hall and use the hallways and stuff.
And will
as
that
a-
then obviously bounce back then? As
Yeah,
a
so you
kind
can
of-
record that signal back, so you can get the
Amazing.
natural reverb of the building, like, and stuff, you know.
In fairness, the acoustics today have been fabulous here with our musicians
Oh,
today.
yeah.
It is a beautiful building for that kind of work.
Yeah, it's brilliant for, yeah, especially acoustic stuff. It's really, really good for that, yeah.
And you also have, is it recording booths for different sections and different instruments?
Well, basically there's a control room. That's where all the equipment is for mixing
Okay.
and all the speakers. And then I have a live room, which would be quite a big space with ceilings very similar to these. And then I have another kind of isolation booth off to the side. So I kind of have the facility to record full bands live. And
So you kind of tailor it for each kind of client, I suppose, or each
Yeah.
band and what they want to record themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. It all depends on the project. You know what I mean?
This is true. And what's your, I suppose, you've been here 8 years.
Yeah.
What does the Chocolate Factory Creative Hub mean to you? Is it a place where you feel,
I love it. Like, it's like home from home. Like, you know, it's such an interesting place, full of loads of people, just loads of fucking chancers, to be honest with you. Like, but I love that. You know, just people trying to make a go, small businesses and stuff. So yeah, it's a great atmosphere to be around. I just love how it looks. Yeah, it's definitely my
yeah, it's really
home from home.
really, really quirky.
If you can love a building, and you know, I think I do. You know,
Yeah.
I love this place.
It's
Really
nice.
do.
It has a lovely energy about it. And I think the history as well is fabulous. Thank you so much for joining us
No worries
today.
at all.
And make sure to check him out and the studio on the Chocolate Factory website. Now we're heading over for some more music.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. We are back with Rhiannon Clark, who's going to perform another song for us. This one is called Strong Hearts. And make sure to give them a follow on Facebook if you haven't done so yet. So it's Facebook.com/Rhiannon Clark Music.
I wanted to run. That's exactly why I need to stay. And I said freedom. There is no shame of which I'll let myself be chained. There is no shame of which I'll let myself be chained. But strong hearts, I know they trust themselves, know which way to go, to walk along that road to the greater unknown, into the great unknown. I wanted to run, but I looked my fear right in the eye, and I said freedom from patterns that I felt I could not change, from patterns that I felt I couldn't change.
Thank you very much, Rhiannon. And we are off to get inspired now with a visit to Inspire Gallery.
What is good art? I can only say what I like, and what you like or what someone else likes can be completely different. And for me, it's been part of that process in curating the challenge of that and making it accessible to the public as well. Hi, I'm Dino. I'm art curator at Inspire Gallery here in Dublin City Centre. Inspire Gallery was established in 2013 by Sofia Swatek, originally from Poland. She's an artist. In 2014, I curated an exhibition at the gallery. Following that, I was invited to come on board as a permanent member of the team, and I have been an art curator at the gallery since 2015. I spent a lot of time traveling, meeting Irish artists abroad, and the general consensus was that it was quite difficult for them to showcase their work here in Dublin. They felt, you know what, why? There should be a platform for artists to showcase their work right across a contemporary art space. The whole philosophy of Inspire Gallery is to showcase artists across a variety of mediums. So you could be coming to the gallery and you could have an exhibition of an abstract artist, followed by video installation, followed by sculpture, followed by photography. So for me, it's important to go to a gallery and be surprised. For it to be predictable, you know, that wouldn't interest me. I like the idea of trying something different. And the location, you know, it's right in the center of the city, walking distance, transport at your doorstep. So yeah, perfect. In the gallery, this is our new room called the Tea Rooms, which we're working on at the moment. We want to have a location where people can, after having a look at the exhibition, come in, sit down, have tea, and you know, spend some time in the gallery. We want to try and get people to, you know, engage with the work and stay in the gallery. So we're going to utilize the space for that reason. We're also going to showcase affordable art from local and international artists. For me, it was all about variety and showcasing the talent that we have in this country, and also allowing people in Dublin to see the international artists as well. It's an ideal space to showcase work, and it changes. Each show has its own personality, and we tend to use the space differently for each show as well. The exhibition is called Savage. It's a group show featuring 8 artists from Ireland, Mexico, and Europe. It basically stems from the whole kind of challenging times that we're living in at the moment with the pandemic, the period of lockdown. A lot of the works were produced during the lockdown here in Ireland and abroad. What we have in this room is basically you're looking at the raw format of curating a show. Artworks have arrived, and it's my job now in the next few days to present the work. So yeah, it's going to be a challenge, finding a place for them to live, but that's my job. This is work from Pigsy, Niamh O'Connor, who's a Dublin artist based in Monaghan. This is Treesy, who's an artist from the UK. This is Frank O'Dea, who's an artist, gallery owner. Behind you there is Chris O'Hara, who is a well-known Irish artist as well. The whole thing about it is you could come in and the next exhibition could be traditional, landscape, portrait, whatever, and then the next could be kind of experimental. Every show is different. You come into the gallery and you kind of go, I'm not sure if I like this. The next show, oh my God, I love it. So there's always something new. I cannot make you like it or dislike it, but I can make you enjoy the experience of coming in to see the work. That's important for me. You know, breaking down the barriers. People feel as though they're not allowed to go to an art show. We want to change that. Anyone can come in. And working in this area is important because there is a sense of community. There is a sense of support. So yeah, it's an open door policy. Art is for everyone. There's a lot of artists, musicians, creative people in Dublin. I think we need more. I think it needs to grow more. It's something that's very important for the soul of the city, for the lifeblood of the city. Our philosophy is to have a platform, a showcase for artists who are emerging and established in Dublin. Why do you need to have to go abroad to show your work? You know, why can't you? Of course, it's great to have an exhibition in New York, to have an exhibition in Barcelona, Berlin, etc., etc. But there also needs to be a place in Dublin for artists to showcase their work. I found something I really like to do, and I feel blessed that, you know, this is not just about money. This is not, you know, the grind of getting up 9 to 5. Oh my God, are we done yet? And I just like being around creative people. The variety, working with artists and showcasing the work. For me, it's natural. And as I said, every show has its own personality. So there's constantly something new and interesting for me. I love it. I love it.
And now in studio we have Liam O'Connor, and Liam is the director of the Irish Traditional Musical Archive. Liam, you're very welcome to Culture
Thank you very
Night
much,
TV.
Karen. Yeah, delighted to be here.
Good. Yeah. So tell us, what's happening in the Irish National Music Archive?
Well, in the Irish Traditional Music Archive, we're premiering a video we commissioned. It's called Doula. It's a 25-minute audio-visual presentation that's available online. It's been produced and created by Jack Talty, who is a well-known traditional player, concertina player and researcher. He's teamed up with a videographer called Maurice Gunning. So they're both based in County Clare, and we did this in conjunction with the Clare Arts Office. So tonight it's been screened live in Glore in Ennis, and also we're hosting it on our website at itma.ie. So it features archival footage of County Clare. So they're trying to explore the themes of memory and identity in Clare. So they're speaking to contemporary traditional musicians like Martin Hayes of the Gloaming. They've interviews with other Clare musicians, and then they have video footage that they sourced in Sweden and in our own archive and other places. And so just looking at landscape, memory and identity, and through the prism of Irish traditional music, and in Clare being so identified with traditional music.
Clare is the capital of traditional Irish
music,
isn't
so
it?
they tell me, yeah. There's
yeah.
a few other places would contest that, but it's certainly a very, very strong part of the Clare identity.
And are you a musician yourself, Liam?
Yeah, I'm a fiddle player, and my mother's from Clare, incidentally, too.
Way.
So, but I'm from Dublin, and a fiddle player. I've come from all my family play traditional music, and that's what I'd have a.
And have you a family band? Do you play together?
I do. I wouldn't call us a band necessarily, but we have played together at things like the Skull Sour Willie Clancy and different things. But due to health and safety and domestic balance, we don't tend to.
So how did the Willie Clancy week work out this year?
Well, that's actually that was a huge success. So for some of your viewers that mightn't know about the Willie Clancy week, it's one of the biggest gatherings of traditional music anywhere in the world, and happens the first week of July every year. It lasts a week long in Milltown, Malbay, West Clare, but it had to go online this year. So we facilitated that in the archive. We've over 30 years of footage from there. So we actually were surprised there were 300,000 viewers online for.
And what's your normal
project.
audience?
We have about 10,000 followers online, so it was exponential kind of growth.
So that really worked out for you this year.
Yeah, and over 45 countries. So Irish music is undergoing a real renaissance in other countries. So I was surprised, like say places like Japan, Australia, even Russia. We had huge audiences in, and there are people that are actually learning and playing Irish music. Kind of compare it to yoga or something that.
Yeah, there's a moment.
15 years ago in Dublin, if you said this thing called yoga, everyone's going to be buying their mats and all the rest of it. You know, people would think you're mad, but similarly, there's big growth of interest in Irish music abroad, you know.
And how long are you in this job?
Only in the job a year, well, a little over a year, so 26th of
So a bit
August.
of a baptism of fire. You were just getting your feet under the desk.
Yeah, actually, this time last year on Culture Night, you know, we had 8 events in the building. We're in 73 Marion Square, and we had different musicians from all over the country. So that's not going to happen, obviously, tonight.
Well, you've probably been able to move from 8 events to many more online.
And it's sped the process of change up for us, as moving from, like, we have the biggest collection of Irish music, a physical collection, and the challenge for me, I guess, under my tenure now is to turn that into a digital archive that you can access wherever you are in the world, you know, on your phone or on your laptop, whatever. Like, so that's
really interesting.
Sped that up.
So tell us about your website so we can find out more.
Yeah, so it's itma.ie. It's universally free access, so there's no fees or no paywall. We're a non-profit. You know, we're funded by the Arts Council of Ireland and the Arts Council of Northern Ireland. So it's there's plenty there for everyone. If you have any interest in Irish music, you know, you'll hopefully find something there to satisfy your interests.
And any footage of you playing the fiddle?
There's plenty, unfortunately, yeah.
Okay. Well, Liam, thank you. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you for joining us in studio
on
Culture Night TV. Thanks for that. And now back to Rebecca.
Thank you, Karen. I'm now joined by Jared Cuff from Off the Cuff Bitters. And to say I'm excited is an understatement. Welcome, Jared.
Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excellent. How are you?
I'm as good as I get.
Good. Now, please tell us, what do we have here?
So, we're Ireland's first dedicated bitters maker. We're based here in the chocolate factory. We're on the ground floor where all the interesting things happen.
You know where to find me after the show.
Exactly. Last year for Culture Night, we started working on a new recipe, and that's what I have here for us.
Fabulous. I'm very, very excited. And tell us, Off the Cuff, where did this start from?
So, Off the Cuff was born out of a drinks industry night where I got together with several other people in the industry and just started asking questions about why don't we make anything else that goes into Irish whiskey. Irish whiskey is a great part of the category, but it's only just a very small part of the historical picture. We needed to make more flavors to go with the flavors from here.
So what exactly is a bitter that you...
So bitters is seasoning. Just like you use salt and pepper for food, use bitters when you're making drinks. It helps to make the flavors pop and come alive.
And you primarily add that to whiskey only, is it?
Whiskey, gin, tequila, we're not single category specialists. We like to spread the love.
And is this then a bitter or a whiskey that you've produced?
So it's technically neither, and it's also both.
Okay.
This is the birthplace of where whiskey came from. Aqua Vitae became Ishkabaha, which became whiskey as we know it.
Okay.
There's a 700-year-old recipe that this was dug out of the Red Book of Ossory that was written by the Bishop of Ossory, Richard the Leadred, who was famous for making whiskey and burning witches.
So this is going to be good stuff.
It's pretty hot.
And what kind of flavors do you have here in the front?
So in the front, these are our core flavors. We've got the Chocolate Factory, named after its creation's sake.
Nice, I like it.
We've got a marmalade citrus. It really that goes with the toasty notes that are in Irish whiskey all over. And then aromatic hedgerow. So I'm Australian. You may have not caught that already, but
just a little.
When I first got here, the hedgerows were such a quaint idea to me. You know, we just use fences. But over here, it was
divided by hedges.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But in each of those hedges is a rich array of botanicals and flavors that everybody here takes for granted. But for me, it was a completely exotic sight.
I like that.
So we needed to capture that flavor, put it into a bottle. So that was the aromatic hedgerow.
Well, let's give it a go.
Let's make some drinks.
Looking forward to it. Okay, So maybe go through the process then if someone was to purchase these from off-the-cuff bidders. What exactly is the process that you would recommend?
So we have a direct website where everything can be reached. It's offthecuff.info /shop. Or it can be gained on the Celtic Whisky Store, which is based over on Dawson Street, or El Mulligan's Whisky Store, which is currently only operating as an online store. Worldwide Wines, based down in Kilkenny, which is where this recipe comes from. And it, as of last week, just landed on the ground in the UK, so they can finally get it as well.
Brilliant.
So,
We got to share.
yeah, absolutely. So the colour that's coming out of this is so beautiful, yellow, rich, because that's saffron that's flavouring, or making that colour pop out.
Yeah, it's very vibrant.
Well, when we first started making this, we came up with a set of tasting notes, which is pretty simple. It's Christmas cake in a glass. So when the seasons start to change, going from summer to winter, tonic, gin and tonic, no longer a summer drink, but aquavite and tonic, perfect autumn refresher.
So just on time.
Yeah, exactly.
coming into the autumn.
That was it. So this is it. It's elderflower tonic and aquavite served with a slice of lemon. Nice and simple.
It smells really nice. There's like, it is a Christmassy, cinnamony. Haven't even had a sip yet. Oh, that smells amazing.
That's it. I will have a one of these myself.
Ooh, that's really nice. Yeah, right there.
Absolutely. We've got a few of these to share around, but
the gang will be happy with that.
Christmas cake in a glass, nice and long.
But not too heavy. I wouldn't be a huge Christmas cake fan, but this is, it's really nice.
Tingly, spicy, autumnal, refreshing.
Yeah, but doesn't necessarily feel like alcohol.
It's definitely alcohol.
Maybe I just have a bit of an intolerance.
After this lockdown, anything's to be expected.
Don't go there, don't go there. So, would you then add a bitter perhaps to this?
So
or is this...
aquavite is enough in its own right, but if you were making a gin and tonic, then a couple of splashes of marmalade citrus or aromatic hedgerow in there just really brings that gin and tonic into life.
Brilliant. Any new products on the horizon? Secret products?
We've got lots of things that are under production at the moment. We couldn't talk about aquavite this time last year. I can't talk about what's coming next year this year.
Who knows, this time next year could be another array of products.
We hope so.
Well, guys, if you want to check out Off the Cuff, make sure to check out the Chocolate Factory website, and I definitely can vouch for this, to purchase this, along with the fabulous elderflower tonic water. We're now hearing from our mobile journalists.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to number 14 Henrietta Street. It's a magnificent Georgian building with a long and distinguished history. And here to tell us more about what's going to happen on Culture Night is my guest, Kate Chandler. And hello, Kate. Can you tell us a little bit about this room? I'm going to just swing around a little bit, please, and just talk. This room, how many people would have lived in this room?
Quite a few at different periods. This is the room we know as Mrs. Dowling's room. We call it Mrs. Dowling's room because when we were doing the renovations to the building, we were very lucky to meet the Dowling family, who we're still in touch with today. And they were able to tell us exactly how the room was laid out when their family used to live in the building. So everything here is inspired by the stories that they told us, and we particularly tell the story of Lily Dowling, who grew up here and used to love to play the piano. We still hear memories from people who lived in the building who remember Lily playing the piano. A lot of these rooms had quite a few people living in them. They were old Georgian rooms separated with partitions like these.
All right.
Into multiple rooms, and you could have up to 14, maybe more people living in one flat. Sometimes the smaller rooms would be let to lodgers.
Sublet. Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah, just here, this wallpaper is original to the building. You can see that it's sort of in layers, so it's from different areas of the building's history. So we've got different patterns here, and you can see that we've replicated that in the decoration of the room.
Goodness.
This is actually taken directly from the wallpaper that we uncovered behind a bookcase. So that's really the theme that kind of runs throughout the building, is the layers of history are still really visible.
Well, we've had a wonderful time here in Henrietta Street, number 14, and I just want to thank Kate Chandler, who's been showing us around the whole building, which is absolutely marvellous. So I just want to thank everybody here, and going to transfer you back to the Chocolate Factory and the Near FM TV team. Thank you very much.
That was amazing stuff from our mobile journalist. And now I'm joined by Keith Reenan, who's from Dublin, has been writing poetry for 5 years. Hi, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Well, tell us about yourself.
I'm a spoken word poet from Dublin. I've been writing for the last 5 years or so. It's only the last year or two that I've really started to do anything with my poetry. I never used to put it anywhere or talk about it. It was definitely something I kept a secret. I was really embarrassed by it. It was only from actually attending open mics and seeing other poets that I kind of thought, why not? Why not get up and do it? Why not share some of the stuff I've written? And I'm so glad that I did, because it's such a wholesome community to be a part of. Going to open mics is one of my favorite things when pubs and stuff were still open.
Yeah.
It was really great.
And I suppose then with pandemic that wasn't really an option.
No, not really, sadly. And who knows when it will be again. Since I couldn't get out to do open mics and stuff, I started to post a lot of my stuff online, which I'd been doing for a little while anyway. But when everything closed and I didn't really have an option, I couldn't perform anywhere, that's when I started to really get more into being an avid user of social media. With my poetry, I started to record videos myself, and I just put them up, kind of just for something to do. I didn't really think anyone would look or have any interest, but I've had a great response so far.
Excellent. And what is the Instagram handle?
It's Kitpost, Kitpost.
Kitpost. Yes. And you said you have a book planned.
Planned, anyway. Who knows when that will happen? But I have to write the thing first. Hopefully by this time next year it'll be out, but I have to just wait and see.
Let's see how it goes. And what are you going to perform for us today?
I'm going to perform one of my pieces called Boy in the Sky.
And what's it about?
It's about, I guess, taking risks, being scared to take a chance, but you're more scared of failing than the outcome itself.
Very good. That sounds very inspirational.
Thank you.
Take it away.
Thanks. The boy in the sky sits on clouds and watches the world go round. Swings his feet through the air and always contemplates jumping down, but he knows both his legs would break the second he makes contact with the ground, so suspended he'll remain for another day. Greets the moon at 8 p.m. and watches the tide sway as she pulls him ashore. The boy in the sky just wants to swim. And as pretty as the stars are, they're starting to grow dim because they've been on fire for forever now. And he just wants to feel the water on his skin. The boy in the sky has always battled with his bravery. His confidence is a brother he does not know, so when the cloud he sits on grows cold and spills snow to the earth below him, he just casts his eyes away. And the boy in the sky never learned how to feel. And he's not certain he's real anymore, and what's more, how he even got caught up in the clouds in the first place. And he's sick of the same old view now, and so on a whim, while the rain pours, so does he. Tears from his eyes as he weakens his knees and falls over the edge of the cloud he called home. Tumbling through the sky on a downward trajectory straight for the sea, the boy in the sky is now the boy in between, and he belongs to nobody. He has no domain, and for a fleeting second, in mid-air, he is his own again. But before long, before he can truly revel in this moment, the realization hits that he, the boy in between, cannot fly, and it's going to hurt like hell when he collides with the ocean. And so on his way down, the boy who was once in the sky recites poems to his mother, ones he knows would make her cry, and the closer he gets to sea level, ironically, the harder he finds it to breathe. At terminal velocity, he screams, "Mama, I'm so sorry." And now he's one with the water. And the impact of his body to the surface of the waves hit with the weight of graves before his own, the boy in the brine, as he is now known to the tabloids. Because of course, A collision like that caught the attention of the patrons of the beach that watched this boy breach the laws of physics and emerge from the sea unscathed. Battered and broken, he floated to the coast like driftwood, but he could still manage to rise to his own 2 feet. Thank you.
Amazing poem by Kate. Make sure to give her a follow over on Instagram. And quite fittingly, we are off to Poetry Ireland now.
My name is Niamh O'Donnell. I'm Director of Poetry Ireland. I started here very recently, but Poetry Ireland was founded many years ago in 1978. And for 45 years, it has been working and dedicated to engaging and connecting people and poetry. So number 11 Parnell Square was one of the first buildings built on the square. And in 1901, Dublin City Council took over the building and set up the chamber. And this room itself was the county manager's office. And beside us is the chamber where for 77 years loads of the major decisions around the development of the Greater Dublin area were made. Arts and culture is a fundamental right of every citizen, and poetry, I believe, speaks directly to and of people. Poetry enhances the image and the reputation of the city, and in fact, obviously, for Poetry Ireland, the country. So yes, being based in Parnell Square it's where we should be, at the heart of the city. So we work in sort of 2 or 3 different ways where we try to engage young people and young poets, and then poets throughout their career. So we start, say, with kind of education and outreach, where we run our Writers in Schools program and a Writers in Residence program in schools. So for the past 30 years, over 500,000 young people have engaged in this program, where poets go to the schools and teach and help young people to write. And it's about breaking down that sort of feeling that young people can have where they feel that poetry may not be for them. We also try to look at global issues with young people, where they engage with poetry and learn about the real key issues in the world. And we partner with global worldwide schools in that program. We have a poet in residence at the moment, the first time for Poetry Ireland, and Catherine Cullen is working with a lot of communities in Dublin 1, where we're running engagement programs. So, I mean, that would be a really diverse program. And again, being part of the community, that's why it's important to be in the city centre. Another aspect of our activity would be where we help poets to develop their practice, to develop their skills. So we run mentorship programs, educational programs, and then have opportunities for them to have readings, launch their publications, and we also publish. We have quite a large publishing arm. And all of that, again, is really important for us to be able to give opportunities, first to develop their work, but then also for an outlet for it. For example, we have Let Me Talk, which is run the first Monday of every month, and it's an open mic for spoken word artists. And that would be really at the root of, one of our kind of core principles is democracy, inclusivity, and diversity. So that is at the center of everything we do. And so it's really important for us that we have as many voices as possible, because that's what poetry does. It breaks down those barriers, it builds understanding, it builds inclusivity. So Poetry Ireland is very open to the kinds of work. You don't have to be a page poet to be part of Poetry Ireland. We like rap, we like songwriters, we like spoken word. We're supportive of everything where people express themselves.
Hi, my name is Bo Williams. I'm a performance poet from Portland, Maine in the States. And I've been in Dublin for about 2 years, Galway for about 2 years before that. And I teach workshops and perform at shows and venues across the country. And here's a poem I want to read about the time that I didn't know what I was looking for, but I knew that I was looking for something. And it wasn't until after I wrote the poem and started reading it that I was looking for love. And I found it the very next day. So never underestimate the power of poetry. So here we go. This poem is called The Highland Inn. I wrote it in the Highland Inn. If you were to find me, it'll be next to the seat that I saved for you. I'm still a bit sober as of yet, though the taps will bow before the pen gives out. If you prefer me pissed, then walk a lap to the bog and back. It won't take but a song or two. A woman will ask if this seat is taken. Her cheekbones will be cupped, hands overpoured with freckles. They will spill through her fingers, splash over her shoulders. I will wonder to what God she prays that would let loose such a heaven. I would wonder what brilliant clock would stutter long enough to hide such poetry in the stars across her. I would wonder why words have yet to know my tongue, so I wash them back with a pint. If motivation is to join me on the sesh, may it arrive a sopping baked. May it be draped in the 3 sheets that the wind takes for its own. May it kick the loo door down to watch me knocked upon the throne. May it grab me by the ears, stare into my face and yell, is your blood not filled with ink, man? Is your chest not filled with hearts? May my spirit be as saved as this bar stool. May this bar stool grow a lighthouse from its back, steal the breath from your lungs, feed it back to you in beams. Let that which needs to find me do so when it must. May I recognize the sails before it passes into dusk.
So we first met Bo through a programme that we partner with Dublin Fringe Festival called Versify. And Bo is a perfect example of the kind of artist that has started to really engage with Poetry Ireland as a spoken word artist. And for us, again, it is that kind of importance of having everyone involved in Poetry Ireland. It doesn't matter where you're from, it doesn't matter what creed, everybody's welcome. Poetry Ireland moved into number 11 in 2016, and in the coming 2 to 3 years we're very excited. We're going to refurbish and establish a poetry centre, because it's actually time. I think it's Olivia O'Leary who said, as a country of people and poets, as people of words, Ireland should have a poetry centre. We're going to develop the building. We're going to have the Seamus Heaney Library, probably about 20 to 30,000 books in our library. We'll have a poetry cafe and garden, as well as a performance space where we'll run events through the year. And we're partnering with the Heritage Trust in that development, and hope to launch in the next 2 to 3 years.
Welcome back, and now we have in studio Aga Schott. And Aga, you're going to tell us about the Icons Walk and the Beatles Show. What's that all about?
Hello, my name is Aga. I'm from the Icon Factory and the Icon Walk project on Temple Bar. And tonight we will be sharing with you the Icon Walk story, which is an outdoor installation on the back lanes of Temple Bar at 6 p.m. We're going to welcome you to have a tour and tell your story about the Icon Walk. This is a narration along the back lanes of Temple Bar, which introduce an idea about our identity, who we are, where we came from, or where we are going. And we're going to run a tour to explain you our project, why we did it, tell you stories about most important heroes in Irish culture and how they help us to shape our nation. Also, at the Icon Factory Gallery, we're gonna have an exhibition by 2 Dublin artists, Kevin Bohan and Marianne O'Dwyer. The exhibition is titled, "Here is Another Clue for You All." It's an exhibition inspired by Beatles. This autumn, Peter Jackson will be releasing his new movie about Beatles the Beatles, Get Back, and two artists were inspired by the new movie coming up, and they prepared some artworks inspired by Beatles. So we invite all people who are fan of Beatles to come and see the show. Also along the Icon Factory, there's an artist studio where I will be painting tonight live, so people can come in and see the whole artist workshop and see me painting live, and people will be able to join creative process.
And can we have a sneak preview? What might you be painting tonight?
I will be continuing painting a bath, painting called Batt, and it's two children taking a bath with a company of a little dog. So that will be a painting which I will be working on, and people will be able to see the technique I'm using and how the whole artist process.
Very interesting. And what kind of medium do you use? Are you a watercolor artist or oils?
I use my own technique, which is a combined technique with ink, oil, and collage.
Okay.
And people also will be able to see the previous work done in the same technique. So it will be very vibrant atmosphere, and we invite all who will be walking around town just to pop in and see the gallery, studio space, and the Icon Walk.
Well, that's fantastic, because for this year of all years, we would like to introduce live stuff. So you're going to do something live, Culture Night.
Yes, it will be live. It will be very interactive. This is not our first Culture Night. We have been doing it for many years, and it's been a great experience, tremendous experience, and people seems to enjoy to be part of creative process.
Well, excellent. I wish you all the best with that, Aga, and thanks so much for joining us on Culture Night TV.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. That sounds great, Aga. I'm now joined by my final guest here in the Chocolate Factory, Paula Eracht. How are you doing, Paula, from Art Life?
Hi, I'm very well, thanks a million.
It's great to have you here today. So tell us, first and foremost, I'm sure you've noticed this beautiful backdrop that's been behind me throughout today. This is all your work?
That's my work, along with various members of my family. We call ourselves Art Life, and we like to, or when we can, we like to dress spaces for maybe events, or it could be. We've done many events here in the Chocolate Factory, from weddings to film showings to sort of smaller scale things that are happening, and in other spaces as well, like for TV, TG Cahir, and for
brilliant,
maybe marquees, where there are all sorts of things. So from it's about kind of creating spaces and creating atmospheres, and we kind of liked the idea of bringing. My background actually isn't in set design or in dressing, but in mixed media and painting and so on.
Okay, so that kind of background has brought a wealth of knowledge, I suppose, in mixing different medias to create a space.
Yeah, and we just, I kind of noticed, I suppose, over the years, how there was so much sort of waste, I suppose, or in events, or there could be at times, and a lot of budget spent on things that then go in a skip the next day.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So being a natural hoarder, along with members of my family, we just thought it was an opportunity to. Recreate is another great space. We're a member of Recreate, in terms of getting things like, say, there could be, curtains that I overprint or paint, or all sorts of things. We've got beautiful glass terrariums that were left over from, lighting companies, and so we love kind of hunting and gathering things.
Yeah, it sounds very exciting.
Yeah, and remaking them to fit a space, depending on what is required by the client.
Of course.
Yeah.
So what's your background? Do you have a background in different mixed media?
Well, actually, I trained originally in textile design.
Okay,
and that kind of gave me this great love of colour and texture and pattern and space, and whether the design was for the body, like as in fashion, or upholstery, or
it's
so on.
It's a wide range of different areas.
Absolutely,
textiles,
yeah.
Which is nice.
So, I just basically love working with things and remaking them and re-envisaging things to ways to use them.
And speaking of textile, you made the backdrop in the music area.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. So within this space in the chocolate factory, some people come in and look at the ceiling and go, oh my God, it looks dreadful, or it's falling apart, needs repainting. And I came in, I went, wow, I love it. And I love
beautiful.
That natural kind of...
It is stunning. And it's nice that you can blend your work and add different things to it to actually enhance a place instead of trying to maybe cover it up. It's actually blending kind of the old and the new with your artistic creativeness, which is actually really nice.
Absolutely. And sometimes a customer or a client has something that they really like, and it could be, something tiny like a scarf, or it could be a couch, or it could be, something major, a painting. And I suppose I just love when there's some kind of connection to something, and that you can make it feel personal, and it can be subliminal. It doesn't have to be a massive big statement or a drama. It can be subliminal, but it is about a connection and creating an atmosphere and a feeling.
And this place, in this particular setting, I see over here behind me the vases for these beautiful plants. They're
actually, what happened is that dried plant stuff there is bamboo, right? And that came from Joe, my brother's garden up in County Louth for a wedding here in the chocolate factory as fresh bamboo. Wow. And so then when that was all over, we dried it, just hung it up, and then I sprayed it. And then I thought, actually, how do we get it standing up tall? So we got these Wavin pipes that were from Recreate left over, and then I was looking at what Emmett does with his copper, and that lovely verdigris effect. So even though it's not real copper, I just kind of mix the colours and so on to go with that, and basically sprayed it and painted it.
The sustainability in this place is fabulous, and it's really lovely to see. Thank you so much, Paula, for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now we're heading over to the mobile journalists, where they go to the Leprechaun Museum.
Hello, welcome to Culture Night. We're here in the Leprechaun Museum, and I'm joined by Mark Kieran, who is manager. Tell us what's happening here tonight for Culture Night.
Well, we're going to do what we do all the time, which is storytelling. It's a museum all about folklore, mythology. So, as with the last 10 Culture Nights, we're going to give people a sample of what we do. So when you arrive to the front of the museum, and you don't need to pre-book, we'll take people in a group at a time. We've set up an area with curtains, cordoning it all off, and we'll give people some storytelling, and then send them off back out into the city to enjoy the rest of Culture Night.
Now, is it a lot different this year as it has been over the past couple of years due to COVID?
Yeah, so obviously we have to limit our numbers coming through to allow for social distancing, and we'll probably take 5 or 6 people in at a time at the front, but we should still get through 100 people tonight. We also have a secondary experience set up at the side of the museum, where people get a chance to meet a Calliope, which is a hag, a witch, and she'll help them with curses and cures. So anyone who's on the street, we'll just grab them and we'll offer what we can.
Great. So we're here now in this museum, and this was originally Jervis Street Hospital.
Well, Jervis Street Hospital would have been just across the road. We would have been part of the outbuilding, so part of the complex for it all. Yeah, the whole area was very different then.
It really was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And because this is leprechauns and Culture Night, any chance of seeing a few leprechauns running around?
On Culture Night, I've experienced a lot of strange things over here. Whenever we're at the Leprechaun Museum, Dublin City comes alive on Culture Night.
It's great.
So you might see anything.
Yeah. Great. So many people, compared to the years before, I know you said it is a lot less, but you're hoping to have a good turnout here tonight?
Yeah, I mean, we would do what we do in an empty room anyway. We're storytellers. But tonight, like I said, I'm hoping to, get anywhere around 100 people that will get to tell stories to tonight.
So you'll be here your own, or is there a few people working over here tonight?
There'll be myself down at the front. We've had a lot of inquiries, phone calls and emails. Yeah. People ask me, but it's not pre-booked. It'll be myself, 3 of my storytellers, and the witch.
And the witch. So look out for the witch. Listen, thanks a million, Mark, for talking to us here today.
Thanks for coming in.
And have a great Culture Night. It's going to be different than any other night, but
better.
Hopefully it'll go well, become better. Okay, thanks a million, Mark.
No problem.
And now back in studio, we have joining us Amy Van Vellik. Amy is the National Culture Night Coordinator. Amy, you're so welcome this evening.
Thank you so much, Karen.
Lovely to be
so
here.
thanks for joining us. So Amy, how long are you managing the Culture Night?
So I've been project managing or producing Culture Night on behalf of Dublin City Council and previously the Department of Culture, Heritage and the Gaeltacht, now the Arts Council, for 8 years actually. So this is my 8th Culture Night I've run.
So in those 8 years, probably 7 of them were a little bit similar?
Yes, yes. 7 of them were, I mean, I wouldn't say that they were repetitive, but I
similar.
mean, you were very
Lots of
similar
live
to
gigs.
Yeah.
So what have you got in store for us this year?
So this year, I mean, as everyone can see and as everybody has noticed in the last couple of months, has been very different in terms of the approach for cultural venues, opening their venues for physical people to attend. We approached this year's Culture Night very different by going with a hybrid format where we have had we've asked venues and organisers to program events for online consumption and for offline consumption, and that's physical. So we're delighted to have been able to produce a program that is that hybrid, that lives in that hybrid space. And there's so many events. I mean, close to, I think, at this moment in time, we've had about 750 events taking place across Ireland.
So 750 compared with what maybe last year?
Well, it'll never be the same as last year. So last year we would have had 1,600.
Okay. But still you managed to pull 750 out of the bag.
I think it's pretty incredible.
Yes,
and I'm
that
very,
you've done
very
that.
proud of all the arts organisations and programmers and coordinators of having been able to establish that or create that.
And how long did it take you to organise this then, Amy?
So it takes us probably around a year. I mean, we work all year round on this. It's been a little bit different this year because the goalposts have changed on a number of occasions, but everybody's been really flexible and very creative in their approach, and that's how we've been able to come to this moment in time.
And what we found today, Amy, is the range of talent and the wealth of music and art and demonstrations and interviews. It's been phenomenal.
Yeah, no, it has been. And I mean, it has been also very varied. And what's been interesting that people have really adapted to the situation by presenting content that they would have normally presented physically in their venues, and they've adapted and presented these online. And it's a huge feat for all those organisers to do that and for Culture Night to be able to present that. And Culture Night as well to move into that digital and virtual space, which hasn't happened before ever, and we've been able to tap into new audiences due to that. And it'll be really interesting to see what the statistics will be post-event now in the next couple of days, where we can see how many people have engaged with Culture Night.
Well, that's what a lot of our guests were saying earlier. We've been on air for nearly 2.5 hours now, and they're saying that their audience numbers are up online from last year.
For sure. I'm sure that is the case. So many people have been invited now to experience Culture Night at home and also to participate, and there's so many interactive workshops taking place so people can create something at home. Obviously, it's not the same as going out, but I mean, there are venues that we're able to invite or host physical events. What's also been really special this year is we've always had an international program in the mix. This year we've had a new edition, which is Berlin, who put on a really interesting photography exhibition that people were also, again, able to tap into online. And also the Rep Theatre in New York and the Irish Arts Centre in New York, the Centre Culturel in Paris, and the London Centre in London, London Irish Centre. So they've all created online content, which is there now for people to engage with, and they'll be able to engage with it over the next couple of days as well.
Well, it sounds, Amy, that you found all sorts of solutions.
Yeah, I think so. I think we've had to look at this from a positive perspective. And I think this is about the survival of the arts and the arts sector, so
and
we need to work together.
Just prove that artists are resilient?
Definitely.
And creative?
Definitely. Yes, for sure.
And cultured?
And cultured.
And that's what we're here for.
That's it.
Amy, thanks so much for joining us in studio.
Thank you so much,
it's been our pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now some music.
Thank you very much, Karen. And I'm joined here by our last music guest of the night. It's Molly from Woolpines. Hello, Molly.
Hi, how are you?
And can you tell us a little bit about your band? How would you describe it?
Usually much louder than how we're going to sound in a few minutes. Punky, garage rock, I guess.
Very good. It'd be very interesting to see the pumpkin acoustic version.
Oh, it can still be done. You just have to shout.
You had a debut EP released last year.
Yeah, we released an EP last year called Dye Me Red, and that was on FOAD Records. They're an Irish punk record label. And we have another one coming out in Halloween, hopefully in around then. It's called Us Against Them. And yeah, we're going to play, the 2 songs we're playing are both off the EP.
Very good. And is it Halloween themed EP?
Maybe.
And is there any gigs or performances that you might have coming up?
We've been trying really hard to play live over the last month or so, working with obviously government guidelines and restrictions. We had a few gigs that we had to postpone, but there is one coming up on the 26th of September in Drop Dead Twice.
Okay.
So I think it's 40 people capacity, and we have the links to buy tickets on our social media, but hopefully it goes ahead. And if it doesn't, we're used to it.
Excellent. But it's actually so good to hear. Like some of the guests before were actually saying they have gigs coming up.
Yeah,
and it's so good to hear.
Slowly but surely getting back to
it's all
normal.
actually kind of coming back.
Hopefully.
And what is the social media for you?
So we're on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, and Vulpines, it's VULPYNES. So yeah, you'll find it's easy enough.
And first song you're going to play for us is One Horse Mind.
Yep.
What's that about?
It's about trying to tap into someone who won't let you in.
That sounds brilliant. Can't wait to hear that.
yeah. Sounds dark, but it's not really.
Okay.
Thanks a million.
Your indifference doesn't make a difference to me. With a sickle and a smile, I got serenity. You fed me breadcrumbs one by one. The deliverance weighed a ton. I've got a one-horse mind. And you won't let me inside. Trust me, I've tried. Your resistance can't resist me. With this fickle little mind, I plead insanity. You led me out into the sun. The reduction made me so numb. I've got a one-horse mind. And you won't let me inside. Trust me, I've tried. I've tried. I know I should try something else. I can't give it up when it's bad for my health. And now I'm on the shortest chain. It chokes me and it fucks with my brain. Fucks with my brain, fucks with my brain, fucks with my brain, fucks with my brain, yeah. putting up your rent for all that time you spent living in my head. I wish you were dead from the eyes up. It's us against them. Remember what they said. I'm your real friend. I'm your real friend, sister. There's something you should know. I don't wanna be liked. I wanna be left alone. I'm cutting you out. I don't want a part to play in your cabaret. But what's our to fray from the eyes up? It's us against them. I heard what they said. I'm your real friend. I'm your real friend, sister. There's something you should know. I don't wanna be liked. I wanna be left alone. What you looking at? What you doing here? What you looking at? What you doing here? Oh, what you looking at? What you doing here? What you looking at? What you doing here? Oh. There's something you should know. I don't wanna be liked. I wanna be left alone. Sister, there's something you can't own. I don't wanna be liked. I wanna be left alone.
Welcome back to Studio for Culture Night TV for the very last time. That was the Vulpines. Weren't they amazing, Lydia?
They were absolutely amazing, yes.
As were all the music guests.
Yes, absolutely. All the music guests. And some of them were so young and so talented. I'm absolutely blown away.
2.5 hours. That flew.
It did, didn't it? Yeah, it definitely didn't feel like that.
Yeah. What were the highlights for you?
Well, music guests were absolutely amazing, but I also actually learned so much just listening to other guests. And I am jealously looking over at Rebecca and her cocktail and can't wait to join that as well.
Oh, we will, sure. I loved chatting to all my guests as well. Can't believe the amount of people who are so flexible and were able to move what was probably a disastrous situation into a really positive experience.
Yeah, 750 events.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Phenomenal.
Yes, absolutely.
So, my hat off to everyone who was here today, and also to Dorothy and to Glenn and to Elaine, who organised the whole thing today. And to all the cast and all the crew today. Well done. Huge well done.
Well done to everybody. And yes, make sure to check out Culture Night on the website, because a lot of things are happening at the moment and a lot of them are online. So you can actually still catch it yourself.
Well, that's the great thing about Culture Night TV. It's all been recorded. It's all online. You can get to see anything you want. So here to play us out this evening, we're back to the Vulpines. Thanks for watching.
I'm not gonna sing it sweet for you, just 'cause it's looking bleak for does it make you feel? Does it make you feel weak when everyone's got 2 cents snapping at your heels? How does it make you feel? Does it make you feel weak when everyone's got 2 cents and you cannot speak? I'm not gonna make it cheap for you just 'cause you think I'm weak for you. Oh, 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 oh. This is not a lament, and I'm not as desperate as you. How does it make you feel? Does it make you feel weak when everyone's got 2 cents snapping at your heels? How does it make you feel? Does it make you feel weak when everyone's got 2 cents and you cannot speak? Took me a while to figure out this night. I'm not expecting anything, I'm not some man's wife. Took me a while to figure out this lie. I'm not expecting anything, and that's alright. How does it make you feel? Does it make you feel?